because they are the problem. Because the parties are the problem. Because we live in a dysfunctional government in the state of Kentucky right now, and both nationally and locally and statewide. And both parties are bought off nationally and locally by the big special interests who have extraordinary amounts of special interest money that would buy them just about anything they want in the halls of our legislature. I call these people the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate fascist elite SOBs who have bought off both parties and who are pushing this new world order, this global economy, where we're supposed to abolish our borders, abdicate the Constitution, and join with the rest of these people in some sort of new world order that they envision. They see the Constitution and the Bill of Rights as impediments to the implementation of a new world order, global economy, that is actually taking place under the guise of free trade, and which has put our children and our grandchildren in employment competition with people halfway around the world who work all day for a bowl of rice and a mat to sleep on. And so they want to make this one world. They don't want to make this one world by lifting up the rest of the world's population to bread. They have constitutional due rights and due process and guarantees of personal privacy. They can't afford that. That's too costly to man. So they've got to make us advocate what's made America as constitutional citizens special. Now let's talk about the Constitution and what made it special. You know, before the Constitution came about, we were all property. That's all we were. We were property. We didn't have any inalienable rights. We weren't recognized as creatures of, or the products of the Creator. We were property. We belonged to the king or the queen, or whoever had the most gunpowder in the valley. That's fascism. Arbitrary rule over us. You had no basis of rights with which to question authority. It just wasn't there. The king or queen says, off with your head, I don't like your haircut, off with his head, he's gone. There was no intercession there. He was pure property. But our founding fathers, in a moment of absolutely exquisite genius, realized that they had a whole new country that they could write the script for. And the first thing they did, the Declaration of Independence, was recognize that we as individuals had been given inalienable rights by a Creator, something beyond the ken of government. A Creator had given us the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. The Creator had given us our sovereignty, our right for self-determination, our right to have self-dignity and view ourselves as people with rights that should not be torn asunder. And then they wrote a set of laws that were designed to put that into action, to protect that. Fascism, up to then, was unlimited power. The Constitution was written to specifically limit the power of government, to specifically prescribe what it was that they could do. And all the rest of it was left to be the people and the state. And that was the first time and the only time where we were taking out the status of property and putting the status of sovereign individuals. And that concept is being torn asunder right now. That concept, more so than ever before, is in peril. And it was imperiled institutionally by the advent of what is called free trade. You know, under the concept that we were individuals and had sovereign rights, we exported human rights as a country. Up to under fair trade, depending on how a country treated its citizens, had a great deal to do with how much duties and tariffs we put on their goods when they hit our borders. And when a country treated its citizens right, paid them a living wage and decent standard of living, of course it cost more to produce those goods, and when they came to our borders, we put just a small duties and tariffs on them and let them on in to compete with us. But we stopped the slave-produced goods from coming across our border at greatly reduced rates in order to protect ourselves. We put big duties and tariffs on them. That was called fair trade, where we export human rights. In 1989, George Bush took human rights off the list as a factor in awarding trade status. He didn't take it from number 1 down to number 2, number 3. He took human rights totally off the list in awarding trade status. Immediately, China got most favored nation trade status. And all their semi-slave-produced goods came flooding across our border without compensatory duties and tariffs. Went into Walmart and undersold all of our people. And exported to manufacturing base down Mexico, and now it's Ireland because Mexico was too expensive. They paid $10 a week over in Thailand. And then all our manufacturing base went, and all our mom and pop stores in the small towns went. Go down and take a look at the empty storefronts in all these small towns. That's where they went. We stopped exporting human rights. And a country that stops human rights as a factor on their foreign policy basis is one small step away from abdicating human rights as a domestic policy. And that's what they're doing right now. Our rights to privacy are under great assault. The war on drugs is an absolute farce designed to tear apart the First 10 Amendments, the Bill of Rights. And we have now got the Republicans joining with the Democrats in trying to pass off a bloated police state as a conservative law and order philosophy. It is not. It is a police state. And let me tell folks in the minorities, don't you ever believe that the man is racist. The man is racist. He doesn't care what color his slaves are. Briefly, in 1971, I was 24 years old in Milkman. I was grist for the mill. I was headed for prison. I was headed for an early death. I've always been this kind of way, you know. Been kind of outgoing, kind of progressive, questioning authority. So I decided that I didn't know the system, and the system was going to do me in. So I decided I better go to college and become an attorney. And while I was at it, I was going to become governor, and I was going to take the government off back. That was 38 years ago. That's what I've gotten up every day to do for the past 38 years. I did go to college. I did become an attorney. I'm a privileged event attorney in Lexington. I have run for office in the past. I've run for governor. I've run for Commissioner of Agriculture. I've run for Congress. And I ran for Attorney General. I've been a Democrat until that party abandoned the farmers, the miners, the unions, small businesses, and the mom and pop operations and joined with the Republicans in the headlong rush for the big space givers money to bought them all out. And so I got out of the Democratic Party, ran as a Reform Party candidate in 1999 for the government, spent $20,000, got 16% of the vote in the general election. Unheard of. It just blew everybody's mind. Ran for Congress as the Reform Party, ran as independent for Congress in 2002, got 27% of the vote in the general election as an independent. That just blew their mind. They could spend $20,000. Ran as independent in 2003 for Attorney General. Went to 12 out of 120 counties. Spent $20,000, got 110,000 votes. Got back in the Democratic Party in 2007 because I thought I could steal the party. And they searched the flag and kept me out. I'm back as an independent now. Candidate for governor in 2011 as independent with wonderful Lieutenant Governor candidate P. Riley. She's a faculty lady from Eastern Kentucky. She's never been arrested, so she brings you a balance. So we're running as independent in 2011, and we're running against Kentucky's dysfunctional government. You know, we could all come up with a great solution to Kentucky's problems, but they get shredded of the dysfunctionality of the government in practice today. And it's the parties that are the problem. It's the two major parties that are the problem. They got their horns locked up like two big full elk, like over territory while the business and people out there living in the They don't pay attention to the business and people. They put partisan